Here's the second method of making a rectangle. We're going to make a slip knot and put it on our hook. Draw it up fairly loosely. Now we're going to make a chain of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to make 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to chain 1, skip 2 chains, and in the next chain work 3 double crochets. Chain 1, skip the next 2, and in the last chain work 3 double crochets. That last chain can sometimes be tricky. So we have 3 shells, three double crochet shells. What's next? Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and turn. The chain 4 counts as a double crochet chain 1. Now we're going to double crochet in the chain 1 space from the previous row. We're going to double crochet 3 times. Then we're going to chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next chain 1 space. Now we're going to chain 1 and double crochet in the last double crochet from the shell below. Skip this one, and go into the next one. That gives you, for your row, double crochet, chain 1, shell, chain 1, shell, chain 1, and a double crochet. So you have a double crochet chain 1 on both sides. Now we're going to chain up and turn, chain 2 or 3, whatever you need for your row, and we're going to make 2 double crochets in this first space, the first chain 1 space of the next row. And we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work a shell in the next chain 1 space. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to work a shell in our next chain 1 space. Remember, we said this chain 4 counted as a double crochet plus 1. Double crochet chain 1, I should say. We have 3 shells. We have 2 shells on the next row and 3 shells on the next row. We're going to work 7 rows like this. So we're going to do chain 4 here. I'm going to skip the first shell, work a 3 double crochets in our first chain 1 space. And you can see the pattern as it develops. I'm going to chain 1, make a shell in this chain 1 space. Chain 1 and work a double crochet in the top of the turning chain from the previous row. Now we're going to chain up, turn. So here we're going to do 2 more double crochets so that we have a shell here. We're going to chain 1 in the next chain 1 space. We're going to work a shell. Chain 1 work another shell in the last chain 1 space, chain 4, turn, skip the first shell, shell in chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next shell, shell and chain 1 space, chain 1, and a double crochet in the top of your turning chain. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need one more row. So we're going to chain up, turn. We're going to work 2 double crochets in this chain 1 space. Chain 1, skip the next shell, shell and chain 1 space. Chain 1 and skip the next shell, and in the last chain 1 space we're going to make another shell. So this is what we have so far. That is kind of a rectangle granny, but we're not finished it yet. We're going to assume that if you want to make a rectangle afghan, you need to go further. Okay, for our next section, you can either cut your yarn and finish off and start at a different point with a new color or with the same color, whatever you want. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 3 here. You could chain 2 if you need to, and we're going to make right in that double crochet that we just finished. We're going to work a corner, which is going to be 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. You can chain 3 if you want to, if you need to. And you're going to do this all in the top of that double crochet. This is what it's going to look like. And that's a corner. Now we're going to chain 1, and in the side, see how your side, you have spaces between your shells, although your shells are lying on their sides. In each one of these spaces we're going to put a shell, and we're going to chain 1 between them. So we're going to do 3 double crochets here, chain 1, skip this side shell, 3 double crochets in the next space, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next space, then chain 1, and here in our first stitch we're going to make a corner. You can work this corner here in the bottom of the double crochet, or you can work it in the loop remaining from the foundation chain. I prefer to go into the double crochet because it's closer to the side and it will give you a more even side. So I'm going to have 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Now you're going to chain 1, and in your skip 2 chains here, I'm going to work another shell. Chain 1, another shell in the next chain 2 space. This is the exception to the work a shell in the chain 1 spaces, because that was your beginning chain. Chain 1, and now we're going to skip these 2 double crochets, and you can work your corner, the bottom of your stitch. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. You can chain 3 if you want, or chain 1, whatever you need to make a nice looking corner. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 3 double crochets in that next space, which is the double crochet, the single double crochet from the rows that we made. Chain 1, here's the next single double crochet here along the side. And that's where we're going to make our shell. Chain 1, another shell in the next space, which is a single double crochet. Chain 1 to our final row. We're going to make a corner in this first double crochet, which is actually chain stitches. Three double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Chain 1. Now in my chain 1 space, I'm going to make a shell. Hear my dog outside. Then I'm going to chain 1 and make another shell. And I'm going to chain 1 and join with a slip stitch to the top of my beginning chain. Now you have your rectangle granny. And you can go round and round and round just as you would with a granny. If you want to make more rounds, you can join with a slip stitch here, slip stitch over to your corner, and begin a new corner here in the chain 2 spaces. Corners in chain 2 spaces, shell chain 1 in each of the chain 1 spaces.